Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to On the Mic with Mike, the premier business radio program. I'm your host, Mike King. I appreciate you being here with us. We're coming to you from ESPN Studios, Mike King Biz here. It is Mike King Biz Radio, which is ESPN Richmond 106.1 every day from 5 to 7. The Choice 105.3 every day from 2 to 3 p.m., as well as International Business Coach Radio. I tell people we do like LeBron, and we take our talents on the road and showcase RVA. So follow me as this cutting edge show. We uplift the community and showcase RVA in a different way. You can follow me on social platforms on the Mic with Mike RVA, as well as Mike King Biz. Alrighty, so we got a good friend out there, Kaisha McCray, Growing Perspectives. Now she helps people with careers, and she's a talented entrepreneur. Plus, she is an engineer too. So she helps people who are at a crossroads, maybe in their career. She helps people define their perspectives. And she says, Mike, you got to meet a friend of mine. And welcome to the program, ma'am.
Thank you. Thank you, Mike.
Alrighty, so tell us who you are and what you do.
All right. So my name is Jana Pollard. I am a unit leader for one of the larger employers in the area. And so I have been with them for 17 years, have people, about 500 people indirectly and directly reporting to me in this industry. And we make house wrap as well as medical packaging.
When you were a young person, what did you want to be when you grew up?
I always actually wanted to be someone that was a problem solver.
Were you that kid?
Yes,
I was that kid.
Yes, I was tinkering with, the VCR and the, just some of the devices at the house. And my parents said, well, Jana, that's engineering. And so that's when I decided to go into engineering.
Be an engineer.
Yes.
Were there other tinkerers in your house?
No, actually, they said,
really?
Go see Jana.
Okay.
And so, well, my dad, in a way,
he tinkered a bit.
Yeah,
he knew how to do it.
Yes, he actually repaired escalators and elevators.
Oh, so he knew.
Yes.
Okay, because when I have a son who's creative, and when you're not a creative, dealing with creatives or a tinkerer can be kind of hard.
Yes.
Yeah, you know why? Please don't take that apart, because I don't have the ability to put it back together. But the tinkerer can figure that out.
Oh, yeah.
Okay, so at what point, so you're going to school, what point did you realize I might have something there? What college did you go to?
I went to North Carolina A&T.
All right, so shout out to all the Aggies. Dr. Danny, there you go. Yeah, got
another
one. There you go. She's always saying it. All righty, so you're there in an engineering program.
Yes.
Okay, let's talk about what was the mindset and what was it like for young women going into engineering back in those days?
Yeah, so back in, I would say the 2000s, 2005 arena, mostly male dominated industry, mostly males, because I went into mechanical engineering.
Okay.
So definitely, I could probably count on one hand how many females were in the classroom.
And at an HBCU, what was it like going there and taking up engineering?
So it was actually, so A&T is the #1 school for engineering, from an HBCU standpoint.
It's a place to go
to. Exactly. So it was pretty enlightening, right? To see that, Black students going there to really get ahead, to get an education, dedicated. And so, I mean, it was enlightening and empowering for me.
Okay, so now, when you go to, were you ever worried about could you hang, or you knew right from the beginning?
No, it was just, I just liked being around people that looked like me.
Okay.
And that was, trying to really get an education and, have that mindset of trying to do their best.
All right. So when you graduate, did you know what area you want to go into?
No, I didn't know at all. So, one thing that I liked was being able to intern and co-op at different companies.
Okay.
Try out, those different fields as well as different industries, and then make a choice from there.
Can you talk about the power of internships and how people go about getting them? Because when you hear about, sometimes people are like, it's great, I didn't get that internship, or maybe sometimes people sleep on the idea of the possibilities.
Oh, I think internships are important because, like you said earlier, it gives you an opportunity to try something out. And when you try something out, either you're going to like it or you're not. And so you can move on from there without wasting your time in the future with trying out that opportunity. The other thing is it builds your resume as a student, right? And when you get paid, when you graduate, a lot of companies base your pay off of your experience as well as your GPA. So it's really the combination. A lot of times students will focus on schoolwork, focus on their grades, not knowing that employers are also looking at their experiences as well.
All right, Mike King here, Jana is with us as well. Can you talk about navigating corporate America?
Yes.
You got 17 years
Mhm.
in. Give some words of advice and wisdom on things to do and things that you sort of found maybe you really shouldn't do those because they can sort of pigeonhole you or impede your progress.
Yeah, so I think there's a balance in corporate America, especially when it pertains to Black females, right? And so sometimes you get looked at, being overly uh, expressive, right? Sometimes you're looked at being bossy. And so there is, really a balance there in the workplace. And so the way I try to navigate it is really being inclusive, right? So getting different points of views, getting constant feedback on, how a certain situation was handled, and really being in manufacturing, listening to the shop floor. Because when you listen to the people that are on the receiving end and constantly get that feedback, it could really make you successful with you not even knowing, right?
One of the things I always think about, people always talk about undercover boss. I like the program. And it really makes a difference. It does say something because it gives the owner, the boss, a chance to go there. People think it's hokey and corny, but when you show up, if you're not listening to the people on the floor, you really lose out because they know exactly what's happening. One of my good Mike, we got to go away and take a break for 1 second. We'll be back shortly. Welcome back to Untitled Chapter, the premier business radio program. We are the voice of RVA business. So, man, we're talking about internships. What's a person? What would a remedy or advice to give a person how to land internships?
So, the first thing would be to work with your local school. A lot of the schools have programs dedicated to finding their students internships and co-ops, because at the end of the day, what they're trying to do, the schools and colleges, is really, promote that they can find their students jobs at the end of that education. And so that's one way. Another way is to just really think of some corporations, some companies that you're interested in working for, and just going to their website, applying to those positions, or connecting with someone from that company and making those connections.
There you go. So your people, a lot of times people are in corporate America. And it's funny when people use corporate America. And I tell people entrepreneurship is not for everyone. It is not. There are good places to be in corporate America, but you have to use the system while you are there. So sometimes people get to a certain point in their career, they start looking for options, ways to grow. And we're starting to talk about our friend Kaisha McCray,
Yes.
growing perspectives. And she has a leadership retreat.
Yes.
She has one coming up in January. You were in the one this past year.
Exactly.
Okay, let's talk about what it is and what you get from it.
Yeah, so the leadership retreat for me was a way for me to understand what my goals were for the year and jot it down and work towards those goals throughout the year. So I enjoyed the leadership retreat because we started off not even talking about our goals, but really we started, performing yoga. So it was a way to physically cleanse the body and, get your mind ready for the activities, that we had set out for the day. So that was pretty interesting to start with that. And then later on, we built a vision board. And so that's when we really, buckled down and talked about the goals that we needed to accomplish for the year. And, it was us personally that we needed to accomplish. And so I had a goal of, ensuring, because I'm in a challenging role right now, just making sure that I have time for myself. So that was one goal that I had on my vision board, was to really make that time for that.
One of the things I always talk about is, and it's not so much a case for men, and it's for women, designating, finding self time. How to take, and I always say, who takes care of the caregiver? Because the caregiver won't take care of themselves.
No.
They're going to. You have to. You have everything written down. You have it all written down. But now life comes in, and here's that mom thing.
Exactly.
And a lot of times, how can you talk about growing perspectives and putting that everything in its place, because everything needs to get done.
Exactly.
And all of a sudden, the mom thing doesn't have a schedule. And has a life of its own.
Exactly. And that's what happens. You have your home life, with your husband, kids, and then you have your work life, and they all at some point blend together. So it's important to really, bring it all, growing perspectives as an example, just put it all in perspective so that, it's okay to blend the two, right? As long as you have like a schedule, as long as you find the dedicated time so that you satisfy both, right? Your personal as well as your professional life.
When a person, what would a person gain from going to this? And who is the type of person who would benefit from going to this?
So to me, it doesn't matter who you are. If you need to relax, if you need to get away, this is an opportunity for you to really put things in perspective for the coming year, right? The other benefit to attending a workshop like this is to reflect on the previous year too. And that's something we did as well. Did you achieve, the goals that you set out for? And what do you need to change in order to achieve those goals going into the future? So, really it's open to all women, doesn't matter where you are in, your career, nonprofit, for profit, it doesn't matter. It's encouraged that everybody attends. The other beauty, which I didn't hit on, was the networking aspect. So I moved to Richmond actually in November. So, 3 months in, I'm attending this workshop. And for me, the other benefit of this workshop was that connection. I found a church to go to. I found, different, things in the area to get involved with because of those connections that I made at, the leadership retreat.
When, as a business executive, as a leader, let's talk about some of the lessons learned coming out of COVID. You had a management style pre-COVID. You were chugging along. You had your rhythm. You understood. You had been doing this thing a while.
Yes.
And then all of a sudden, the whole world got turned upside down. Let's talk about what you learned from that and how it changed your management style.
Yeah. So for me, what it taught me was how to be more emotionally involved, right? And when I say that, I mean that, before, we're on a schedule, we're on the clock.
Kind of engineering.
Exactly. Very engineering. Exactly.
Okay.
Structure.
Yes.
We need to show up to work on time. We didn't have, a lot of people that were out sick. And then all of a sudden COVID hit and we had to be agile. We had to readjust. I had to readjust my style. And, I needed to be more caring and open with individuals that may have been impacted by COVID, either personally or, a family member, right, was impacted, and be more understanding and open around, what they were going through, because it was tough. People were scared to even show up to work. But in the manufacturing environment, people have to show up. The equipment does not run itself. And so, you really had to be present, talking with employees and, and there, right? So as they were, at work, managing through COVID, I was at work as well, walking the floor and talking to people.
What did you see of your company? How did you see that they navigate, or not just your company, but companies in general? How do you think they navigated the whole process of coming through COVID? And what did you see coming out on the other side?
Yeah, so I think what we saw was, being open with employees, being there, being present, pivoting, right? Because there were certain things that were floating down from the federal government, from the state government. Hey, you need to put on masks, you need to have barriers in place, you need to be 6 feet apart. So all those rules and regulations needed to be, abided by quickly. But outside of that, the supply chain was definitely impacted by, COVID. So there were things, there were supplies, there was pieces of equipment that we could not get. And from a business perspective, we, in some cases, were sole source, meaning that we only had one supplier. So if that supplier couldn't deliver, you couldn't deliver to your customer. And it caused a chain reaction. So I think one thing, when I was living up in Cleveland, what it did was it opened my eyes to how many products we had that were sole source.
And have you ever thought about that before?
No, actually, we have not. I mean, only when, a supplier may, piss you off or something like that. Yeah, exactly.
You go find another one more, not have that one and add another one just in case.
Exactly. So it helped us to be more proactive around the things we needed to do in order to survive and, keep our customers and, our people employed.
We'd like to thank you for coming on the program. Okay, so this is On the Mic with Mike, and I'm Mike, and that way I'm able to ask a question. Now, I hope you don't take this the wrong way, man. People sort of look at engineers a certain kind of way. I kind of joke, so shout out to Dr. Danny, La Shawanda, and Kaisha. Now, I'm sorry, but you. Have you ever met a loosey-goosey sort of engineer who like a shoot from the hip person, or are you guys in that industry who are trained like that, sort of like this, very structured?
Yeah, so I'm actually, I think I have a little bit of the loosey goosey. In a previous role that I had, we needed to meet some capacity constraints. And so within a matter of a month, we opened up another building. And so the team, my leadership team, looked at me like I was crazy when I pitched the idea, because they said, Jana, we won't be able to do it within a month and open up this building. And I said, well, we have, Amazon where we can get office equipment and everything that we needed in order to do this. And so when it was time for me to leave that location, they gave me a box and they put my picture on it, but it was outside the box. And they said, this is you, you're an out of the box thinker.
because it was so different from what they were used to.
Exactly.
Do you think, really quickly, I want to touch on girls in tech and girls in STEM. Let's talk, can you talk a little bit about the importance of it, what girls need to do when young girls, even boys, see you, you're an engineer. You know, it's just like, all right, I'm an engineer, I'm a woman, and those things, they can go together.
Oh yeah, they definitely can. So, if you love math and science, or if you just like it, you can be involved in engineering. That's just the first step. If you like to tinker with things, if you like to figure out how things work, you can be an engineer or someone within the STEM realm. And so I think it's very important because we need to have diversity of thought, not just, white and black or Indian and Asian, but also men and women. Because when we have diversity of thought, we can get through those challenging situations because we have various solutions that we can, execute in order to resolve the issue.
All right, we'd like to thank you for coming on the program. All right, so folks, make sure if you're looking for clarity in your career, if you're looking for ways to make a difference, figure out what you're doing, I'd say make sure you contact Kaisha McCray. She's out there growing perspectives, and it is Women in Leadership Retreat. And that's January 7th.
Yes.
There you go. Yes. Jana was part of the first one. This one, Kaisha said, is going to be bigger, more dynamic, bigger and better. She learned some things, and now this one is going to be dynamic. She went from having this as an idea,
yes,
to being the business award winner at the Chesterfield Chamber. That's something right there. So,
amazing.
Growing perspective, she can help you with your perspective to make it right and give you some clarity. So on the mic with Mike, Jana's here. We'd like to thank you for coming on the program.
No problem.
We got to run. make sure you take a listen to our sponsors. They keep us on the air. We're the only business radio program in the RVA area. We are on daily. So take care, folks. Have a good one. Thank you for coming, man.
All right, thank you.